before anyone speaks. Right, you're happy with the fire safety announcement?
Yes, please.
Okay, there are fire exits at the front and the back of the building. There is no fire alarm scheduled. On the sounding alarm, all personnel are to evacuate into the Hollies car park. The council, members of the press, members of the public and the press may film, record or photograph for live and or subsequent broadcast this meeting only when the public and the press are not lawfully excluded. Any member of the public who attends a meeting and objects to being filmed, recorded, photographed should advise the clerk, Katie, in advance, too late, who will instruct that they are not to be included in the filming, recording and photographing. I'm planning to record the meeting. A personal capacity, I believe Sean is as well.
I'm recording as well, yeah.
Yeah. How exciting. I'm just recording myself. It's literally, it's for my mum. My mum likes to watch it. Right, so the first item, I think we shall have a thought for the day, because we have a guy with us today. If that's all right, everyone?
Yes, certainly. Thank you.
Nice to see you.
And you. Our ability to compromise seems to be running rather thin nowadays. I remember my mum saying when I was growing up, life is all about compromise. That give and take, that exploring together and agreeing the middle way, not sitting on the fence and agreeing with no one. Life has become so competitive. It's all about the powerful exerting their power over the powerless, the wealthy over the poor, the privileged over the disadvantaged, the winner over the loser. Politicians barely agree with those from a different party. More often than not, they just strut about holding the party line and not listening to other viewpoints. Even in the Church of England, unedifying debates about human sexuality has seen lines being drawn by various factions, power games at play, and a reluctance to listen to each other and find some common ground, a middle way. However, we have seen some movement this last week in Northern Ireland, with the power-sharing administration agreeing to sit again at Stormont and resume their responsibilities. Let's hope that they can work together for the common good. God's world is becoming more fractured. War and conflict in the Middle East, Africa and Eastern Europe, global warming and the threat to the environment, to livelihoods, to our health and well-being. People are anxious and feeling vulnerable. Now is the time that humanity needs to work together for the common good of all, to find those areas where a compromise can be agreed and no one loses face. It's far better to agree to disagree than not to agree at all. Finding the middle way is hard work. Better that than not trying at all, surely. My mum died 8 years ago. I miss her, and I miss her saying to me, "Guy, life is all about compromise." My concern today for us and for our children is that if we can't find a way to compromise, what happens to life?
Totally. Can I say that? Can I say that?
Yes, you can. Linda.
I agree with that, totally. We can't compromise. It's a very sad state of affairs. And also, we're not political here, we're all independents.
It's true. Doesn't stop us disagreeing.
No, it doesn't stop us disagreeing, but we all have to come to an agreement in the end.
Right, I'm going to stop talking about that. Right. Let's have a section for questions as well.
Yeah, apologies, we had a mayor who get the agenda.
A mayor?
A mayor. With the agenda, it took us half a dozen times, the computer was playing up and it was yeah, so I've only just noticed, apologies, the public session has been missed off.
Well,
it was a nightmare trying to get the computer
never shy.
was not playing.
Never shy of tampering with the agenda. We do have one member of the public. Wendy, would you like to make any of your pertinent comments?
I can't imagine that I'd come and not say anything. Just out of interest, can you tell me the almshouses in Midsomer Norton, does that fall under the town council jurisdiction or Bath?
Not the town council.
Sorry?
Not the town council. I don't know
It's
whether
not.
it's bound. I don't know whether it's bound
No,
or not.
isn't it? Isn't it a housing association? I think.
I seem to remember
I
that.
think it's a housing association, but I
It's
couldn't
just
tell
that,
you which.
We had a royal visit and went to the almshouses in Bath, and I just wondered if they'd like to bring a royal visitor to look at our almshouses that sadly look not as smart as they could do.
No, but they're not. I'm sure that it's some years ago now we were told that it was passed on to a housing association.
Yeah, I think it used to belong to the council, and it
Not the
always
town
was
council, it
extremely well maintained, and the residents had to conform to certain standards. And obviously that has fallen by the wayside. So, yeah, I'd like to discuss it with somebody in Baines because it really doesn't do justice to our high street, and certainly not for the history that they
No,
carry.
it'd be worth trying housing in Baines.
So,
Try housing in
yeah,
Baines.
okay.
Mike Moxon, who's on sabbatical at the moment, but he had a big interest in the almshouse.
He
He
did.
seems to know everything about it.
Yeah,
So I might go through my past agendas and see if I can find out what we were.
yeah.
Might I just ask one more thing?
Of course.
I presume it will be Baines that were responsible for closing up our town last week and causing utter chaos. When they're going to do anything as major as that in Midsomer Norton, do they defer originally to our council and ask? So we lost a footfall in Midsomer Norton. I can't imagine what revenue was lost by all the shopkeepers, because I, like many of my other pals, we said, won't go to Midsomer Norton. I cannot imagine what impact that has had on our high street. Everybody was just avoiding the place.
There was
I think
no
it's
consultation on traffic works, no. But we are notified, and then I put any notification that we've had, I put it on the website to
Right.
inform residents.
These TROs are normally done quite a way in advance,
Well in advance.
so it's not the main one up the top there is because we've got a crossing. Crossings have a lifespan of about 15 years, and that crossing is about 25 years old, and they couldn't get the parts for it, so it had to be done. And there's never a good time to close off a major artery in our infrastructure. So whatever date the TRO was actioned, it was always going to have the same impact.
I'm not saying the work shouldn't have taken place. I just thought it could have been better organised, in all honesty. To close Station Road is obviously going to cause complete havoc, and I would have thought there could have been another way around it. But I'm just wondering if we were allowed, as a council, not me particularly, but we as a council, to say, if you do this, it's going to impact are already paving High Street.
Unfortunately, the engineers assess the works that need to be done, and they come to the conclusion of which roads need to be closed and how they're going to manage the traffic. And whether that was the best option, I don't know. That's the one that the engineers came up with.
It was because they couldn't get the lorries round the bend because of the work.
Yeah.
So the lorries that all come up Station Road normally, because of where they got the road up, the lorries wouldn't have been able to get round onto Radstock Road. So they had to close that road and send them down North Mead and along North Road. So that's why it had to be done.
Right, okay.
So, and I live on Station Road, so I had to do
Yeah.
the full drive round.
The only thing I think perhaps, and I have mentioned this to our officers, is that it just seemed to, whether it was by coincidence or not, it coincided with some major closes at Poulton and Radstock at the same time. And I think that's somewhere where we can talk to the council about finding some, being a little bit more thoughtful about trying to stagger these.
Yeah.
I thought Radstock was a gas leak, so it's
Yes,
not
it was.
so it's
Yeah.
not something that was planned, whereas this was already planned. So
Yeah.
I think it was just bad timing.
Yeah.
We got some romantic drone footage out of it, didn't we?
No,
did.
it's beautiful.
I got the blame on social media. Where's the mayor when all this chaos is going on in Glasgow? Some of them say stuck in their cars and probably having his
Well,
t-shirt.
that's why I asked the question, because everybody knows I take a great deal of interest in what goes on. And they said, oh, and straight away I should say, the town council done. And I thought, do you ever have an allowance to say something, and obviously not.
No, we're practiced in going that different lanes. We're married to our friend Sean. That's what we do at the farmers market. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. Yeah. Thankfully the roads are all fine again now.
Yeah.
Chaos is over. Right. I think we'll go on to item 1 now. 17 minutes in. Apologies from councillors for not being here.
Well, there's a constant one from Michael.
Mike
isn't
doesn't have to put his apology in, hasn't he? Everyone else is here. Item 2, declarations of interest. Do any councillors need to make a declaration of interest? Item 3, to confirm the previous minutes. No, it's a fake pen. Now, what is the situation with the minutes at the moment? Because,
You have to sign them.
well, when I looked at the minutes, they had the wrong date.
Yeah, that's got the correct place.
Well, the minutes that I've got have the wrong date.
That's got the
Okay, so
These are the correct
that's been
ones.
amended. Is
That's
there
been
anything
amended.
else in the
Yeah.
notice?
As well, they've obviously changed since they were sent, and also the one on the council website
That's the wrong
had the
way.
wrong date and it was
then-
wrongly named because it said it was the 4th of January 2023, which makes it really difficult to find.
I picked this up on the weekend,
Okay,
but
Well,
that has the
this is
correct.
now the correct. Monday the 8th is correct,
Yes.
and it did start at 7 p.m, which is fantastic.
5th tonight, Bill.
Tonight's the 5th.
Last
Previous
night.
Okay.
Yes. Oh, goodness, we got through quite a lot. Didn't we? Right. Right, much. While I'm doing this, shall we go on to item 4, which is a proposal to approve the new business plan for the town hall. There you go.
Can you put the date on the notes
That's
on?
all right. Yeah, right. Does anybody want to? We've obviously had quite a lot of discussion about this already. Does anyone sort of speak in favour? Does somebody want to propose an amendment, perhaps?
Well, I think, I mean, obviously the public won't be aware, but we've just had an hour's presentation on the business plan. And I guess I'll just repeat what I said then. Actually, I still feel that this business plan is hugely optimistic. At some point though, we've got to go ahead, because there is some guesswork. We don't know what's going to happen in the first year. We need a year's worth of training, if you like, under our belts, so we can actually have some true figures. Having said that, what we have discussed when we've been looking at the business plan is there are some obvious errors in there, and perhaps we need to look at just tidying up those obvious errors before we approve it, so we're not knowingly going into a business plan that we know has a fault with it. That's just my opinion. I don't know what anybody else thinks.
What if we said that that money was made available as per the business plan, which would sort of help see through the first year?
No, I'm not sure what you mean. You mean we should give them enough £12,500 grants?
Well, it's showing there, and it's if you like, in a way, it's sort of setting up it new, isn't it?
We haven't got 12,500.
But you did put
There's
aside
so many
50.
earmarks.
So I was going to say that, because we don't know what that's going to do.
I would speak on the basis that it's a plan, and from that, once handed over to the community trust with the kind of, if we want to call it the management responsibilities of the town hall, aside from the events they host on the town council's behalf, they can amend it as they see fit after that point and build from that to create the wider, if we demand it of them, which I think should be a footnote that we can carry on beating the drum on, the wider, let's call it an income expenditure for lack of something better, for the community trust overall, because yeah, we have kind of mentioned that quite a few times. I think that should be important to say, here's this for them to go away and use, amend and come back, keep it up to date as any business plan needs to be, and then yeah, build on that for the other activities they're going to produce for us, and also the Somer Centre. And further to that, it clearly outlines that phase 2 is what will enable the community trust in its long-term goals to become self-sufficient and provide the services for the community that those assets need to provide, and where the investment is going to do that. And with phase 1 as it is, we're going to get figures back after that first year, which are going to say it's going to run a loss or need continual grants to operate in a sense. So I think it's a good starting point as such.
Yeah, I sort of agree with both of you really. It's a plan that the trust can use to work towards. I don't think I think Sean's point about we see it identified that some of the figures we don't understand or we need clarification of, or maybe they're incorrect. But I don't think there's time to. I mean, that could be another long process to go through those and figure out what we don't want. So we have to sort of accept that it's if we can, it's a business plan that may have some errors in it, but we're not held to those the spending commitments. They're not spending commitments within it, are they? That 12,500 is going to come from us to that. It's a plan that isn't a contract to the extent that we're committed to.
It's not binding on us. No, it's just.
So I think we could agree it in those terms that we know there are inaccuracies in it, but as a whole, it gives a plan for going forward for the first year, and then we address those things throughout the year as they, as we see, we start to look at.
It depends what the mechanism is for amending the plan as we go along, because we're approving a plan and we know on day 1 that we're £12,500 out on the plan. And I know we need flexibility in this, because nobody truly knows what it's going to cost to run that town hall once it opens. We won't know until we're 6 months in or even a year in what the true costs of running that are. But that aside, I mean, and there are a lot of numbers in there, like I said, like utility costs, which I think are completely optimistic. But I think we'll go with the plan in terms of utility costs and staff costs. And I hope I'm wrong, but I think the figures are very optimistic. But I think we can go with those. What I struggle to go with is knowing that a figure is completely wrong at the start. It's not the figure is optimistic. It shouldn't be in there.
So could we take that out then?
Well,
Okay, it will show a bigger loss than the
I was
first
going to say,
year, obviously, but
could we adopt it in principle, subject to constant revision? I don't see why it can't be revised straight away, but we could still say we're going to adopt the plan, because otherwise we're going to have to land a plan.
Yeah, essentially it's like a little bit of it's the start of a handover manual, isn't it? Effectively, the town hall to the community trust who are going to run it. So you essentially say, here's a model. now take that, we prove that we've, you know, done the maths as such. There's some discrepancies, effectively, if we want to call them that, which I think over time probably lost in translation the amount of time we've gone over this. Because otherwise we would have highlighted that and brought it up the other 2 occasions that we've had the opportunity to do that. And it was probably well explained at that point. And then, yeah, we effectively say, now this is yours to build on, get on. And it's over the community trust, and it's them to do it all, isn't it, effectively? The investment is by the town council on behalf of the community, and, you know, it's got to progress from there.
I think it's going to take more than a year, isn't it?
This is like a 5-year plan, isn't it?
Yeah, it's got to be. You're not going to learn anything in the first year.
Well, we'll have
summer
some
25,
idea about
when you've done a winter,
Yeah.
it's probably the first time you'll be able to really reflect on what it cost.
But we'll know in some of those that income that is written in there happens or occurs during that first year, won't we? So the figures that we've highlighted
Won't
will become out within a year.
the minutes of this meeting reflect Sean's concerns, so we could agree in principle
Well,
to
they're
use
our
the plan,
concerns,
and
I
then
think.
it's going to be noted that, yeah.
They're our concerns, aren't they?
Yeah, the point, but he raised about the
Well,
12 grand, do you know what I mean? So that can be specific,
Well, no,
and then we can just wing it. We're going to have to wing it a little bit, aren't we? I mean, that's the truth.
Yes, I agree with you.
And ultimately, like you say, it is a plan that now needs to be handed over and enacted. It is not the town council's
It's not really
plan.
us,
It's now handing over to the community trust to run and enact.
But it is saying, in handing over the plan, that there's 15 grand in there that the town council will put forward. So if
we
we
need to
have
highlight
that money in the budget, then that's fine for this year. If we haven't made provision in the budget for that amount, then we should take it out of this plan, accept the fact there may be a greater loss, wait for the community trust to come back with a proposal as to how they're going to deliver and what their capacity is, and then revisions can be made and additional money, if necessary, can be found. But what I don't think we can do is just say, oh well, let's just go with it, let's just, you know, see what happens and whatever. I mean, this is a substantial business plan, there are substantial amounts of money going in and out, and it's really important that as a town council, if we're going to approve a business plan, that we're sure that it's relatively sustainable, and that also the people or the organisation that's going to deliver this business plan have the capacity and the capability to do so. So if the 15 grand, and I may have misunderstood, Kate, I thought you said that there's a 15 grand grant in there.
There is a 15,000.
So therefore, Sean, I think the 15 grand grant that's in there for the community trust, which is outside of the monies for the events, there's an extra 15 grand in there.
Looking at the figures, so this is off my head, looking at the figures on page 28, it had town council management grant 12.5, and then it had grant for events, sorry, excuse me, 3.5. But there is a 15,000 community grant in the budget, and then there are various lines for events, so that 3.5 figure is also wrong.
Right.
So yes,
So in actual
so
fact,
over
there's
the two, there is.
So there's a £15,000 line item, which is just a grant for the community trust, without specifying what it's for, which to my mind refers to that 12.5 that's in the
No, it's
wages.
money. But that does come further down the business plan.
So you've got to separate the town hall business plan from the community trust.
Okay, well in that case then I suggest we take the 12.5, 15 grand out and say we accept the fact that this is going to be a larger loss, and then at least we've got transparency on that, and that there's also another proviso, which is as Tim said and everything, it's over to the community trust to actually put together a proposal on how it's going to be delivered
And they
before
come back to us
anything
with what
gets
they need.
passed over.
I think it's difficult for us to selectively remove things from the business plan. You almost need to. It needs to be represented in it with its amendments if we're going to go down that road, or we accept it in principle, but on proviso that all the grant funding needs to be reviewed before the plan can be fully adopted.
I think we could say that the grant funding that we're going to dish out is going to be subject to that income and expenditure effectively that the town trust is kind of like financial workings, because this overlays onto that, doesn't it?
Yeah, so you put that caveat on it if you wanted to.
I think you've
Because
got.
then that means we have to own it, and then it's.
Because don't forget that this plan, all the figures that have gone into this plan have come from the community trust. They've not come from us. They've not from Caroline. The community trust have given them the figures, and that's what the plan is. So we're going to give it back to the community trust, saying yes, we've seen your figures and we agree with them, and yes, go ahead with the business plan that you've created with Caroline. Mm-hmm. Well, that's not really true because there's grant funding that they've put in there that doesn't exist. So one way or another, how we decide to manage it, and that's probably for the clerks to decide how they feel more comfortable with managing it. But one way or another, that grant funding doesn't exist. So it shouldn't exist in the plan. Now, whether we kick it back for a review and bring it back with an amendment and then approve it, or whether we accept it in principle with a caveat that the grant funding in the
It's
plan.
unrelated to the town hall and it's a wider community trust grant.
I think that makes sense to me. I think that's where some of the confusion is coming from, because we've known this relationship for years, that sometimes the £15,000 a year, which is the ongoing community grant, is because the community trust does things that the council wishes to happen in the community, like running all the, supporting 100 different charities or whatever they do and all this sort of stuff. So it's, the community trust was set up by the council, and by having that yearly grant, it ensures its success. So that's like that's kind of given. At the moment, they're not doing any of the activities in the town hall, but they're still obviously running the orchard hall and doing all the things that the community trust do. So, but
the 12,500 is not related to the 15,000. That's the trouble.
That's where I'm getting confused between.
It's related to the music festival. It's related to the town fair. It's related to those events, not to the town hall, not to the £15,000 annual grants. So
there's less certainty on some of the terminology being used. We need explanation.
It's not terminology. What do you mean?
We just need explanation as to what it is, and if it's not meant to be part of the town hall, we need to take it out.
For me, it just shows a bit of question marks over the community trust handle of their own figures. If we got these figures from them, they don't know.
Well, I think my understanding
Just
is when I spoke
the accounts
to them,
of
is
that
that they hadn't
community
got
trust.
figures to work from because we'd had, we'd been closed with our COVID, so that's go back to 2017 or.
But do they not
whatever.
just have yearly accounts?
I did send you all the income.
Well,
what they got from renting out all the
things.
different rooms in the hall. And
But that's
that sort of occupancy, I just call that sort of operational.
what we've got is
bar takings, all that sort of stuff was in there, and how much the films cost and how much the profit and loss of each film was throughout the year. That's
No,
all
no,
that stuff.
I get that, but that's not the account.
No, it's not the accounts, but their accounts should be published if they're
No.
company's house.
Well, the lady that was
I
doing
can show you the company
yeah.
accounts accounts.
Yeah.
But that's not what we need. We've got pockets of data. We've got a pocket of data here to show us what they spent on the town fair. We've got a pocket of data here to show us some income on films. We've got the company's house data, but that's very high level. What we're looking for is to understand their monthly income and expenditure, and understand their flow, the money flows, and how they're going to sustain the activities that we're putting on them.
That's it.
In terms of operating costs and staffing levels. We need to and we need to feel comfortable with that, and the only way we can comfortable is to see we need open disclosure of their accounts so we can feel comfortable with the numbers.
Well, I suggest, because we did set up a meeting, which I thought you thought was quite useful, about the expenditure of the events, so you saw it all.
It was a good start.
That was a good start. Why don't we, I love a working party, why don't we just actually have a proper meeting again and try and work out what needs to be known? We all need to dig into them, because we do have 4 trustees here, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we are the trustees of it, so we need to know this information.
But at that meeting we had, I did explain what I wanted, and Alex, when he turned up, said, I'm not going to give you that, I'm only going to give you this. So it was a start, but it was just a very small pocket of information. It wasn't giving us the disclosure of information that we needed. So I guess it's down to the trustees to speak to Alex and come up with this.
We do need we haven't had time, and I don't think Alex has had time, so a lot of firefighting going on in the trust, but I also think it would be quite nice to produce something akin to what you've asked for, which actually said this is what the income is, this is what the expenditure is, this is what position we're in, what the reserves are, what the financial state of the trust is. I think I constantly forget what a big operation it is. It's taking an awful lot of money.
Exactly, which means it carries a lot of financial risk.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
and we need to understand and manage the risk.
But and you know, the entire Orchard Hall, which I think is packed out these days because the town hall's closed. So you're right, we need to know more. I'm totally up for that. Can we, to cut a long story short, kind of letting you lead a little bit on this, Sean, but are we happy to adopt this in principle then? I think, but then subject to.
I think adopt it in principle, but subject to a review of the grant funding.
Yeah.
In the plan, and an amendment to the grant funding in the plan.
No, I think that's really pragmatic. And
yeah.
To go forward. Okay.
Have you proposed that?
I'll second that.
Yeah.
In favour.
Well done, everyone.
Yeah.
If we could just make sure that the minutes reflects where we got to on that.
Yeah.
Because if this, you know, when
Yeah.
you look back in a year's time,
Our concerns are, in a nutshell, that we don't have wider visibility of the financial workings of the community trust, isn't it?
So
alongside us giving a very detailed, assumptive plan for the next 5 years.
Isn't it? As I said, I keep to use it.
Which
that example of the which is engraved where you just handed over the money. We don't even have any trustees. However, well done everyone. It's quite a lot of effort and discussion into that over several meetings, spanning over 2 years. Well done. Right, item 5 is the proposal for the siting of the pot-bellied stile, following an investigation and locating it, and locating it. Anyway, we found the pot-bellied stile, and we're proposing to reinstate the stile at the Willowbrook Walk as a monument.
Apologies, we don't have any costs for installation as yet. Because the installer wanted to actually physically look at the style and they weren't available to do that until this week.
They need to know if it needed to be cemented in, which we think it probably
I
was.
thought so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that I thought the proposed location was a bit random, if I'm honest. You know, you've got your sign and then just like plonk it next to it. It seemed a bit weird to me. So I don't know, Martin, you walk down there a lot. Sean, you walk down there. I've never walked down there.
so,
I just thought it could be like its own unique kind of little feature, you know.
so where it was originally was both, there was a fence that separated the Willowbrook Walk field from the pathway that runs through the old swimming pool section. And that, you had a wooden fence, at this end you had the stile, at the other end you had it was actually an old railway kissing gate at the other end. So when the work started, they removed all the fencing. And we managed to save the metal, we got that put somewhere safe. If you put it back in its original location, it will look a bit odd because there's no fence. So you don't need a stile to go through because there's no fence. So so I think probably this is probably the most sensible. We have no where we can make it functional.
I didn't think it was going to be functional. I thought it was a monument. So I
Well,
thought
exactly.
it had its own little plaque that was going to, you know, so I knew it wasn't going to be used as a style again. So I just thought it could be, like I said, I've never been down there. I just thought next to the sign just seemed a bit random. I don't know. But hey.
We have a lot of different bits of metal from the same. I mean, I don't know. I mean, opinions vary because there was quite a few foundries going back decades ago. I thought this was the Poulton engine foundry, but other people have different opinions on which foundry it was. Either way, it's probably at least 60, 70 years old, if not more. But we have other pieces of metal. If you drive, when you've got the traffic lights at the other end of Willowbrook Walk, and you look opposite, there's a field and it's got a metal fence there. That's the same foundry. So it has the same significance.
So you're thinking of putting it at that end, are you?
Well, I don't know. I just can't see anywhere where we could put it. And Martin walks over where we can actually make it a functional thing. So if it's going to be a
But I guess we
monument,
don't want to make it a functional thing, do we? Because
No.
the accessibility.
It can't
isn't
be
The reason-
functional.
Because of that reason.
Because now, because of prams and things, you couldn't get into
So
it.
it has to be
so
monumental.
I'm happy with the location.
It would be. It seems a bit odd for it to be, you know, standing isolated on its own, really. But you know, it is what it is. And apart from the end where it meets the road there, that's the only sort of boundary area where you could place it within, you know, it needs to be supported by something else, and they're part of another.
But there is that
structure.
nice sort of thing there at the other end anyway, isn't there?
Yes.
The long tall
Yeah.
one. So maybe wide it makes sense.
So where we've got signage, historic information board, you know, it's probably
That's right.
as good a place
It's
as any.
narrowed, isn't it? So
We can enjoy it. maybe.
yes, that's right.
What we're agreeing to is whether or not we want this to happen as a piece of work, but obviously the price hasn't been given to you yet, so you're not able to make an informed choice about whether you want
What's
this to go
that
ahead.
metal shed? Would they do it for us?
We don't really deal with cement, do they?
No, you would need,
Don't know,
because it's installation, you need somebody.
because they said they
He did
they
minus
installed,
things.
Yeah,
a
we'll chat
bench.
with you.
Get him on board.
So I don't know whether they would or not.
There is a big concrete plinth, Sean, isn't there?
Do you know what? There is a big concrete plinth that's left
Exactly.
there.
Oh, yeah.
And then this is why we do such a popular monument. We don't want everyone gathering on the plinth because that would ruin the privacy concern.
This style was originally obviously it's a nice stock fencing bridge with allowing access to a footpath or public right of way, isn't it? Which is no longer the case. It was a necessity on road work because it's not stock grazing purpose anymore. Without wanting to throw anything else in the mixer, because we already have got a proposal which does seem like as a monument, it seems like it's cool, but it'd be lovely for it if it was used as opposed to it just being stood, because it's still in usable condition. Is there not a location where there's a footpath or a public access way like that it could be used and repurposed effectively for its original?
But you wouldn't go to
Yes.
get prams and things.
No, but you wouldn't know, would you? But yeah, because footpaths aren't public, like they're not accessibility. They're not made for accessibility. Like you,
I can put it in our pig field, stop pig.
yeah, you don't. Like you just kind of want the barrier of Midsomer Norton. There's a field, but there's a footpath going through it. So like down where they've got the bridleway and stuff, and there's access points up through there. I think, isn't it?
I didn't wonder as well, would it be happy in a museum? I mean, obviously it's nice to be in a field, but I thought museum might be quite
There
nice.
already is one in the museum down in Massett, I think.
Oh, is it? Because we're going to have, again, business plan, phase 2, but we're going to have like a little museum in the town hall, aren't we?
Is that where it was? Is that the original site of the Potbelly style? Is that where it was put originally?
It was originally.
It was used historically as stock grazing, wasn't it? Before it was duchy before and rented out for grazing.
Yeah,
so
on
it had that.
That's
Yeah, so
where
when-
it was always been.
Barrier.
When you came over the wooden bridge,
Yeah, yeah,
it was immediately
yeah.
Yeah.
that first entrance.
But it was
to the
made
field,
for that.
It was
place.
there. It's
Yeah.
been there for
Yeah.
ever since it was made.
I mean, it's got to go back there, really, hasn't it? I mean, people, you know, disappointed when it was taken. Now it's that we've got it, it should go back in the vicinity rather than look for somewhere else, I think.
So the sign is where it was originally located.
No,
Not quite.
But as a monument.
Exactly.
As a monument.
No, it's near, isn't it? It's near.
I agree with you. As a monument.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
looking forward to the Gordon opening it.
Right, with a little ribbon on it.
Yes, that's right. Exactly.
And then we could all take turns as councillors to walk through it.
Do you want to defer it? Because we haven't got a price, we haven't been
Yeah.
given a price to propose
Absolutely.
anything.
Okay.
Well, how
So
much
what
were
should we-
those? Hang on, do we need to? How much were the minus ones to put in?
They put the runners put them in for
The chap
They
that
pay
did
for
it will work for the Miners Association.
Come on, come back.
Well, we can see we're happy for first to progress, but we can.
Yeah.
Happy for more effort to go into this, and we're all quite excited.
Didn't we defer any?
Well, we're going to put it on the next month's meeting with a price.
So that's fine. And do you know what? If it encourages a few extra people to come and visit the wonderful Wellgreen Walk, which is absolutely one of the triumphs, I think, in Midsomer Norton in recent years. Well worth it. Right. Thank you, everyone. Item 6. A proposal to set a date for the annual town meeting.
Yeah, so this is to be held between the 1st of March and the 1st of June. And this is the one we've talked about where we invite people that have accepted or have been given grants from us to talk about what they've done in the community and how they've spent it and how that's benefited Midsomer Norton. So this is a separate meeting to the annual council meeting, which is when your mayor or chair is elected. and normally the monthly council meeting would follow on from that one. So we're talking about a separate event. There are 3 separate meetings that we're talking about here, but it's the one about the annual town meeting. I'd like to get a date so that I can start inviting people to it so that they can prepare.
And what did you say that the times could be?
From the 1st of March to the 1st of June.
So we would definitely have our town hall by then, right?
We could have it in the Solar Centre, couldn't we? Or the Orchard Hall, both have got car parks.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Because it's not a council meeting, it's a meeting of the electorate, you can have refreshments.
Ooh.
And it
And
does
towards the end of March, you've got Easter coming up, haven't you? So, you know, sort of.
Katie, based on the events that are in Easter's end of March and whatever else there are, the music festival or fair, and what dates they are, how does this fit in nicely so that it's not like crammed up against one, so it's divided out evenly? Time-wise? How does it fit?
Are there any local elections? Because otherwise we'll be running against further.
No.
None at all.
Because you went there with last year.
Could we have it at the amphitheatre?
So we want dates first, don't we?
Well, might be a bit chilly or in the
Yeah,
rain.
yeah, yeah.
Well, I suppose the two kind of go hand in hand, don't they? If you decide that you want it as late as possible at the end of May, then maybe the amphitheatre is going to be more of a viable option.
Depending on the weather, though.
You could always leave the Solar Centre free whenever it is, just in case.
Yeah, okay.
That's a really good idea.
It's ours.
What is it, an evening, a weekend or what?
Whenever you like, it's
usually an evening.
I think,
No, really.
I think you've done it differently in previous years. I mean, tell me, because you're the ones that have been there. But I think you've done the you know, we did at Christmas time the awards ceremony. Previously, the annual town meeting was all rolled up as the awards. I don't propose we do that again this time because it was so recent. But you might feel differently about that. You might want to go back to having your annual town meeting as your award ceremony as well. In which case, we can do that. Or do you like the Christmas event?
I loved the Christmas.
Yeah.
I thought that was lovely.
I thought it was good.
We've just got a pattern, haven't we? We've got a calendar, which is once every 2 months or something like this, and great, but it's got to sort of fit in. You don't want one thing in the same month as another important thing.
What's
So
notable for you guys?
it doesn't sound like we want to do it near Easter.
Well, yeah, because you've got Easter right at the end of March.
Yeah, and the annual council
Support
meeting
that,
has to
support
be
that.
held in May.
Yeah,
So
that's
don't
what- that's
we
gonna
want
be-
the other one in May, do we?
Well,
When's the fair?
We don't want the town meeting in May.
Fair, that's in July, I don't know.
with a different hat on.
Fifth of June.
Whenever I do this at my parish council,
So there's nothing wrong with
I
this.
always suggest, because they have it's
school holiday.
before the town council, because at this meeting, the chair will give a report of what's happened in the year. If you've changed chairs in May and you have this after the May meeting, personally, it just looks a bit odd because you've got an ex-chair giving a report.
Yeah.
So I tend to have them.
So the annual
Before.
town meeting
Did
comes
you-
first.
Totally get where you're coming from.
Annual
town meeting in
So you're thinking April,
Annual
Yeah.
council meeting in May.
So the annual town council meeting is on the 13th of May.
Just do an April then.
Sorry, the annual council
The
meeting.
annual council meeting is will be on the 13th of May.
Right, hang on now.
That's just been sent to us.
That's been sent
So
out.
what day
Yeah,
does
because I'm
everybody,
just sitting
what
up here.
evening does everybody want it on then? This one?
So I would suggest doing several dates because we don't know what buildings are free.
I think we just said to go investigate within a 2-week period away from school holidays. And
We'll find that one in April.
yeah, it's like, isn't it? And is it the school holidays the last week of March and first week of April?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you've got basically the mid to late April.
So you're looking at week beginning the 8th of April.
And whatever.
No, I think the 8th of April still holidays. I think the week commencing the 15th and the 22nd.
Yeah, so you've got the latter part of April, and that makes sense.
Just make sure it doesn't clash with any other events, large events, school only events, things like that.
And it's an electorate meeting, isn't it? And as much as many as possible would be would want to be there.
What sort of
Have you
night do we have it
I
on?
was going to say, have you previously held it at the weekend?
That'd be best, wouldn't it?
Sounds like a
I don't
Friday
think it was
night,
a weekend before.
doesn't it?
Thursday, it's got refreshed.
You can hold it whenever you like.
What suits you?
Well, I could personally think that Friday would be good, but if everyone else is...
I won't be on Friday personally. Sorry? Won't be there on a Friday, personally. Well, Friday it is then. Did I say that out loud?
I think you actually run the risk, don't you, that on Friday evening people might be going away for the weekend
Yep.
and things like that.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're going to hold a meeting for a couple of hours on say Wednesday or Thursday evening, provided you've got suitable attractions, whether that's food, drink or whatever,
But could you,
and speeches.
sorry Cheryl, but could you not just argue the opposite with parents with children won't have time in the weekends because the kids are preparing, got to go to their class and things like that. So to me it feels like there's no easy answer here.
You're going to upset someone, whatever it is.
I suppose as long as you can agree and you can attend, then we can come up with a date and we can then invite people to it.
From past experience, there weren't that many thousands of the public.
Yeah,
come to the meeting.
we
There'll be a couple of
can
people invited from various sort of beings and other people.
So we've got a planning and finance meeting or potentially on
You've
the
got a planning
15th.
and finance meeting on the 15th.
Yeah. So we don't want it in that week.
Good following week.
Following week, 25th of April.
What about Wednesday then?
Wednesday.
Middle of the week.
24th, 25th. The following week.
Like closer to the weekend, you've got a little bit more
We
chance
also need to look at the venue.
of getting someone there.
Thursday the 25th.
That's looking like Thursday the 25th.
Thursday the 25th.
I couldn't make that.
Yeah, I couldn't make
Oh.
that. Sorry.
It's okay.
18th.
That sounds good.
How about Friday the 26th?
Then I've got a Radco board meeting.
We could also go the 11th, or is that,
Friday.
it's the 8th?
That's still holidays.
The whole week?
I think.
It's 2 weeks.
That'd be 3 weeks.
No, they break up on the 20.
In March?
Yeah.
Well, Easter Monday's on the 1st, don't they go back on the 8th?
No, 2 weeks. It's early.
They
It's
go. They break up on my school. They break up on
Good Friday the 29th.
20. Yeah, so 29th
And
is
you
the first day of
break
the
up
2
just
weeks,
before.
yeah, so-
Oh, I see.
And they don't go back to the 15th.
18th or 25th then?
Yeah. Thursday the 18th.
Thursday the
When
18th.
Of which month?
April.
April.
18th of April. There you go. Right, done. It's in the meeting.
We could always move the planning and finance meeting if we really wanted to.
Another
So
council.
this is the annual. This is the annual.
As soon as I press return, it goes straight to Julia's phone. She
Annual
goes,
town meeting.
right, well done everyone, that was good.
With refreshment.
Location.
But possibly that.
We have to be in the evening, start.
I wonder if you get these lights from the real ground.
Is this going to be the last time Gordon gets to dress up?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It is, isn't it?
Naval driver.
Okay, so
Right, okay.
Right, item 7. Service level agreement to propose a proposal to approve an SLA between the Town Council and the Community Trust to run annual events for the benefit of the town. Well, there you go.
I've drafted something. I've tried to keep it quite loose, but enough detail that we're asking them to run for 3 years the events that we've previously asked, rather than sort of last minute go, can we do the Christmas event for us, which isn't a way for the trust to be able to organise and plan their resource, their finances. So, comments? Grateful received?
Very happy with it.
Yeah. I mean, this was kind of something that he wanted so that he could plan and, effectively run the trust. So this is what
That's my only question as well.
Yeah, Alex is fully on board with that, yeah.
He was coming on the time.
well, I said SLA in this.
Yes, we've spoken about it many times.
So
He
the name was on it.
was on the email that it was sent out to him. Yes, we've had many conversations.
Well, there's a management committee there, isn't there?
There is a management committee. Do you know anyone that?
Yeah.
Not another meeting, so
I wonder whether that should go to
To
the
management. Well,
Yeah, happy to.
actually, it should probably go to the trustees of the community trust to agree it. There's 11 of them for a reason.
Yeah.
So I mean, they should probably, because they're the ones that have to do the work.
Yeah, should do that.
Because there was only thing I had a bit of an amendment was it was to do with the approval. So I think there was a system in there where the council could still decide at the last minute it didn't want to release the funds. And I thought it would be better if they could get that sorted out in advance so the trust can say, we're just going to do this and spend the money, we know we'll get it back, as opposed to like a council resolution which could theoretically go wrong without reading too much into it.
I think you're reading too much into it. I think the budget was going to be allocated for the events that we agreed that we want running, so the Christmas Fair, Summer Fair, and Music and Arts Festival. And then the Community Trust would still have to apply to the council for the funding, as they ordinarily do. And then we confirm with them that we want to go ahead.
Well, this was just the thing about, well, that's what they provide, don't they? You know, as per the council standing orders, funds will be released based on the decision at either the full council meeting or the finance and ops. Now, so the Christmas is already being works going into Christmas already at the Community Trust.
Yeah.
But
that's over 5k.
Well, yeah, and work's already going into the music festival. So the Community Trust are already doing work, but there's no guarantee according to this that the council will actually ever release funds, because it said it will be at a meeting at a later date. So I'm just saying the Community Trust is taking a risk on this.
Well, we'll take a risk. I mean, I think this is great. I think this is what we need, these types of agreements. It gives some, there's no reason why they won't receive the funds if they meet the criteria of the agreement.
Exactly. It's just saying.
And does the council have a backup plan if the Community Trust doesn't want to do it?
Right,
Why wouldn't they?
Not present.
Well, because it's a huge amount of work and no one gets paid.
So I think we
I'm
need
really
to.
confused about this, right?
Yeah.
I just get more and more confused.
I think if we understand the relationship between us and the Community Trust, we are effectively the same, working together to achieve these things. And everyone should want to meet the conditions of this. It's in both our interests. It's in Alex's interest, and it's certainly in our interest.
Well, yeah, but just to say that, you know, we are requesting a huge amount of volunteer effort. You know,
What?
Huge amount of volunteer effort.
By him or by everyone? By him to rally it.
By the nature of
Alex is a tiny little part of the Community Trust. Alex is like about 20 of the work that goes into the Community Trust. Everyone else is volunteers. So the people that provide these events are unpaid volunteers who will put in hundreds of hours over the year.
But this
so
doesn't change
it's
that,
quite
does
a
it?
big request from the
This
council.
doesn't change that.
No,
But
it's
also,
still a big
I
request.
mean, the fact is that we're saying to them, as a town council, we are looking forward to you wanting to commit to running these events. How they deliver those events is up to them. It's exactly the same relationship. So it's not about, you know, well, they're committing all these volunteers. What we're doing is we're giving them some security, providing they come up with the right, you know, with something that makes sense in terms of budget and breakdown. So therefore, yeah. You know, if the town council isn't going to turn around and suddenly say sorry, but actually we're going to rescind this service.
No, that's fine.
So I propose we agree this subject to the community.
So send it over to the trustees.
Yeah. So, thank you for that. That is a definite step in the right direction, isn't it? To have a better relationship with it's defined as opposed to.
I think it's something that you ought to consider rolling out to other groups as well, including the youth services and let's have service agreements. So we've got clarity.
There is one with the youth
There is one.
Yeah,
Good.
you're right, because that's a really detailed one. It's just we don't have such a detailed one with the Community Trust. Good point.
We don't forget at Christmas we had the issue with where we were discussing the finances weeks before it actually happened, and overspends and all those things. Using this agreement, that would all be done 3 months in advance. And if there are inflationary issues, they could be discussed way in advance.
Shall we just adjourn the meeting for a second? I wasn't sure.
I'm not here.
Oh, you're still putting it on.
That's
That's what I thought. Right.
Oh, just carry on.
Are we inserting or carrying?
We're gonna.
Cool, you can do your as an answer. She's not going to miss too much.
Yeah, I wanted to. I didn't actually bring it up, but the minutes from the last meeting said there were no mayor's announcements. Whereas the transcript on YouTube actually says there were 4 pages in the newsletter packed with mayor's announcements. So it was a little mistake, but it doesn't matter. This month we've gone better. Is it 6 or is it 8 pages of mayor's announcements?
No, I think it was this one.
Yes, there is. That's what it says. Newsletters are being produced on a regular basis. The present one is currently being composed.
Yeah.
In the minutes you just signed.
Yes, I know, but what I meant to say, because I was busy with the little page, but what I meant to say is what actually happened in the meeting was I explained to everyone the newsletter was already being circulated and it was packed with mayor's announcements. But I'm happy for people to read through and go, that mayor just didn't do anything. He was busy. Anyway, It's fine.
So I meant to.
It's fine.
So
Are there any questions on Mayor's announcements? Did anyone get the newsletter?
No.
You've got it.
I did.
Yes, thank you, one person. It was late, unfortunately, it only went right at about 4 o'clock today.
Great picture.
Thank you.
Lovely.
And thanks for keeping up the presence, because at the moment your visibility is most of our visibility. Yes, at the moment, however that is done. And it is telling that people automatically think of you when there's problems, which is
a traffic jam.
obviously we could deflect it away from being Gordon's individual responsibility as a representative person of 11. But the point is, it gives us exposure and promotion for the council, something we should all be very, very interested in to help the public understand who we are and what we deliver.
Excellent. Well, thank you. And then Burns Night might go.
Oh, that's excellent.
I know. Happy days. What's that? Burns Night.
Yeah, what's up?
Oh, it's a charity fundraiser for Swallow. What's Swallow? Yeah, very good. But did I write it in the newspaper or somewhere else? Wouldn't it be nice to have it at the town hall one year?
Not a chance, but I agree with that.
Why, is it Scottish?
Yeah.
Don't matter you don't get the saying it.
They hate us, they don't like that.
It's a community trust you have to vouch for, because they'll be making decisions who gets hosted there.
Right, enough of Mayor's announcements. Item 9, reports from town councils, working parties. So, anyone want to say anything specifically? Apart from we're still trying to get these things up and running.
No.
You've got your High Street one during the half-term week, haven't you?
Well, we're working on two things. One is, yes, the High Street one, and well, we're going to incorporate some of it into some feedback into our residents meeting that's going to happen this month. So, but that will cover a lot of different aspects, not just that. So, yeah. I'll let you know when the date is, but yeah. We're on the road this.
Right. And you've got your media and communications group on Thursday?
Do let me know. Because
Yeah, that's it. Well, these are things that are coming up. I mean, in terms of strategy,
I'm really keen to be involved.
Strategy, as we know, has been delegated to Cheryl. You're in charge of strategy. Obviously, Sean's High Street. Media and communications, like I said, we do have a meeting coming up. Obviously, we also produce the newsletter. That's the royal we. The neighbourhood plan, I think I've delegated that to Cheryl as well. But we do need to have a serious review of what we're doing about the neighbourhood plan, actually, because it's got into a cul-de-sac where I was quite enthusiastic to try and make progress on it. My level of mindless optimism is not going to push it forward, unfortunately, and it's just stuck. So we're going to have to work what I do. We had one that was almost ready, and it was at final draft stage with Baines. It's still sat there. It's about a year old now. And as a council, we're going to have to decide what we're going to, if we're going to actually deliver this neighbourhood plan, which is so important, we're going to bring so much money into the town council, what are we going to do? Because otherwise, I can't do it. I just can't. I would love to. But I can't do it myself, and I don't even know how to get people to help.
I'm happy to take a look at what it is currently.
Right.
And look at because aren't Baines changing the local plan, and isn't there a new weather one? So there's absolutely no point in trying to turn what we've got into something for submission, because it's got to agree with what they're proposing and the new stuff. So I'm happy to take a look at it and put some bullet points together as to where I think you are, where you might need to go, and how potentially to get there. But I'm not going to promise to do that for the next council meeting. I might do it for a couple of council meetings time. You guys are all right with that?
Yeah. Definitely an option. The other one is we can go to Baines and say, Baines have had it for a while. It was about to go to referendum stage. It was very, very close. But then because of the election, it just sat and it's...
It's not just that, it's about the changes in the local plan. That's really important. Now, I did look at, by the way, the locality grants. Obviously, at the same time, obviously, I had problems. My mother fell ill. The actual amount of information that had to be filled in would have required a real in-depth trawl through the archives for historic grants and interactions and everything else within a very short period of time. So I think that it's about looking at what are we going to do, how could we potentially fund it, not necessarily with the locality grants, that's obviously the deadline for that's closed. but where does the council want to go with it? What does it want to achieve? Because I think one of the reasons for actually doing an neighbourhood development plan is the extra 10% sill. And I don't think that Midsomer Norton is necessarily going to get that much sill, is it? For Keynsham, for instance, they had this great big development, Keynsham East, and there was a substantial, I mean, we're talking hundreds of thousands of pounds of sill money that could have come into the town council to get their neighbourhood development plan done. But it's really about what resource does the town council here want to put in versus what financially is the incentive.
There is still money. It's dripping in now, obviously from the big development on Silver Street.
Okay.
It's coming in a lot slower. I think for the last couple of years you've had a lot in. It's coming in slower and lower amounts because obviously they're now infilling.
But there are also plans. Yeah, well, there's the draft local plan that's just been released from the option stage, which outlines, well, amongst other things, it outlines where we're going to build 14,500 new homes in Baines and lots of other developments. So within that, there is. It's a proposal.
I did look at that, and so there is very little that actually comes within the Midsomer Norton boundary. It's over towards Holton, and do you know what I mean? It kind of like, apart from one bit along
the North Road. Somerset do that bit there, so we haven't had that one yet.
I mean, I'll take your opinion, and actually, but I do think it's got to be how much resource we put in versus what financial does this look like.
We need a neighbourhood plan. That's the crux of it, and we need to find the route of least resistance. It doesn't have to be complex. It can be a very basic one that qualifies us for the SIL money. I'm quite happy to enable a meeting between us and Baines to just find out. We might be approaching it in a more complex way than we need to.
We've had that meeting, haven't we? And it was a case of like we suggested the same thing, stripping it right back into a light version that you can add into an update and periodic basis in the future. And it is very much like they're like, it's over to you, like you have to lead it and you have to do it all. Well, this is where we talked about the idea of having grants, or like, not grants, but having money set aside in the budget to progress with.
I think we kind of got
consultants to do it
fairly quickly in the sense of Chelsea. The problem is that you and I, for instance, we might be keen on it, but we wouldn't expect Baines officers to generally give them a lot of their time up for us directly to help them get us champion. So we'd have to come through our office.
But it's got to be led by the townsfolk, not
the
council.
That's the point. Well, I know, but to do the actual work to prepare the thing, it's not something we can expect a rapid response question and answer style from those officers, so that's why we get stuck. So I'll say, send a message out to St George and say, how do you do this? And I don't get the response, and well, there's nothing I can do now because I'm not an expert. So that's why we just hit a wall. So that's where we need to pick it up again. And just pick up one point as well about the SIL money. It's not just SIL as well, is it? I mean, the neighbourhood plan can be used for making the case for S106s and other stuff like that. So it's a whole planning document. Sorry.
So we need to see what resource we can tap into within Baines.
Because the new MPPF came out in December as well.
Yeah.
That's first then local plan.
Yeah, but it's coming out.
Local plan should be done by like 2026, shouldn't it?
But realistically, when we're talking about a plan down here, I mean, above that is the local plan, then there's the MPPF, and we shouldn't be conflicting with those. So our options in what we put into the local plan are relatively limited. In our neighbourhood plan are relatively limited.
And like you said, that consultation document that's at the moment is like an options kind of consultation where we can draw through some of the ideas that they are proposing and pick and choose as a community which ones we want to embellish in our neighbourhood plan. And there is a lot of interest in the way people say sort of like, why is this being done, why has that been done, who says it can be, it can't be, and there isn't anything at the moment that kind of says this is the idea or the plan from Midsomer Norton within it to sort of instruct those things. It's kind of a bit haphazard, like all that stuff is happening up there, it's all pretty bloody random. As much as it's all passed by a planning authority, it's not really like stuff to do with the rugby club and such, and its connections to the town, and the kind of, there is a bit of controversy around that in the background, and yeah, you end up with bit part growth and development and no real kind of, that's probably where it is, and actually it's outlined in that options consultation document, which is really long, where it sort of says that, and it recognises that there has been a lot of bit part piecemeal development in the Midsomer Norton area, which has left infrastructure, is the word I think they use, at a loss, because it's not been focused and said what needs to be done or what the targets might be around all those sorts of things. So maybe that will be things to pull through and elaborate on.
Sorry. I was going to say it's notable that Radstock are much more, have a much stronger voice because they are having a plan done by consultants.
They've got it, they've
That-
got one.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
they've
but
got
it's,
it,
it's
isn't it?
consultant led.
Yeah.
And I think it's really notable that we seem to be a bit rudderless.
Well, I mean, well, we were at the final stage. So rudderless says we had a final stage plan.
Yeah, but when you read the documents, I mean, Midsomer Norton hasn't got the same voice.
Yeah, but I mean, as I say, in our neighbourhood plan, we were at that stage. So, as I'm saying, it's like, if we're all agreeing we want a neighbourhood plan, I hear your
Yeah.
point, Cheryl, but I think it's a good thing for the town to have. So,
Well,
what do
part of
how do we
it
get
is,
this?
it's about forget all the SIL, forget the SIL money, forget all that side of things. It's a good thing to be in charge of our own destiny to a certain extent.
That's the main.
I mean, the main purpose of it isn't to bring in the funding, it's to give us control and a say over the development of our own town. So I think from that point of view, it's quite high on our priority
I
list.
agree with that, but we just need to see. The thing is, what do we do? I mean, we all want this neighbourhood plan. We've promised a neighbourhood plan. I've got people that keep on following up. How do you get on with the neighbourhood plans? And what do we do between now and next month, apart from we're just going to sit here and go, it'd be great to have a neighbourhood plan?
Cheryl, how's it been delivered in your experience elsewhere?
So the one that we did in Pension, which wasn't finished either, literally had just been launched when I joined in 2016. So we had 5 topic groups that all consisted of residents. The residents led everything. And there were lots of discussions, there were lots of consultations, we did lots of surveys. We just reached the stage where we were starting to actually formulate policies. And so the next stage would have been to actually put those policies together in a document, but obviously that's when COVID struck. And so therefore things stopped. And that's also because quite a substantial number of the residents who were very heavily involved in that were actually quite at-risk residents as well. So we have to be very careful of people's health and safety. So, I mean, I'll be honest with you, I mean, I've offered to take a look at it, but it seems to me that you have to remember, as I'm coming into this cold, I don't have the history that you guys do, and I'm a little bit sitting back here listening to everybody saying, well, we need to do this, and it's like, now, all I've offered to do is take a look at it and say, this is where I think you are, bearing in mind that you've got changes in planning that the plan will have to adapt to. I would suggest that I talk with the 2 clerks and that potentially a proposal is put together as to how you feel that it might go forwards. But ultimately, I think it's like, have what you've done enough to go straight to referendum. I don't know, because I haven't seen it yet, haven't read it yet.
I think if we relied on your experience to look at that document and say
so
where it's at.
yeah, and we will, thank you Sean, obviously want to consult with Baines on that as well, to say, in your experience of neighbourhood plans, because I think Whitchurch was one of the first to actually produce a neighbourhood plan.
Exactly, and rather than reinvent the wheel, there's a lot of neighbourhood plans within Baines, and they've all had some level of guidance through Baines and Baines officers to achieve them.
So what the feedback we had from the meetings was that the one we've got currently is quite a lot of words and quite overblown things, and worked for a long period of time, and like a lot of the ones I've worked with are quite simple and instructive and kind of very refined, crystallised versions of these things. So it's like, to what extent it has to be kind of detailed as it is right now, I don't know. So it might be the case, and it's been very much done by a non-professional.
The point is that we can look at what's been done, and this is me coming in cold, work with the 2 clerks and say, well, here are your options. Because I think that's the point. It's got to be, any decision on how to take this forward has got to have options. Then you can decide. It's pointless me going away and working to a very specific brief that hasn't been decided in a council resolution. You know, it's like, I've offered to do this as, voluntarily.
That'd be really
mandate
helpful.
Council.
But yeah, 2 to 3 months I think is a fine deadline and such to have be in a position where we kind of know potentially what our options might be,
Yeah.
if that's possible.
Yeah.
That'd be
I
amazing.
mean, there is no rush at the moment because you've got this other planning going through, and so therefore you've got to tie in with the planning.
It would be nice
with
to
the local
Which one
plan
are you talking
going
about?
through.
the local plan. It would be nice. We could look at those
The new
timelines.
local plan, that draft's going to be, the timescales for that,
2025, I think it
it's longer than that, I think.
is.
Because
Yeah.
it's got to go through
The first
the public
iteration.
consultations, all sorts.
Yeah, I agree that it's got to go through public consultation, but the point is that documents are issued before it goes through to public consultation and everything, and at least you then get a steer as to whether or not there's any fundamental changes from the previous local plan that have to be addressed in the neighbourhood development plan.
It would be a lovely
Yeah.
thing to try and achieve before the end of the term of this council.
Can I suggest, Chair, that this discussion is continued, because we've got a lot of actual council business. If people want to talk to me about what they want me to look into after the meeting, and that's absolutely fine.
Absolutely.
But, you know, I think I'm conscious that there's a lot of other business to do, including some very important stuff at the end. So, yeah. Okay, I've offered to look at it.
Thank you very much. Right, we've move on to item 10 then. So, reports from councillors representing outside bodies. We had a meeting of the Midsomer Norton Community Trust Managing Committee events group. Mainly about the music festival, so that's ongoing. We need to raise some more money, and we need to book a few more acts, but all the rest of the things are in place, and so a lot of the things from last year are in place. So there's a lot of discussion about how we improve it and what we do in the future if it carries on, in further years. But mainly we were talking about some immediate issues with who's performing and where we're getting money from. Which are almost like it could happen quite easily.
Certainly. But we've got our new trustee, Mike Alton, who hopefully is going to be able to help us. We had a lot of experience doing the Keys Down Music Festival, so it's quite good to have him on the trust.
He raised lots of money for Keys Down.
Exactly.
As part of the park, so he's got some ideas about how we get some money because we need. So if anybody has any ideas about how we get some money, then that'd be good. So that was that. Yeah, good. I can also mention the wassail that happened on Saturday that some of us attended. That was organised by the trust mainly in Beth's absence, because it was sort of funded and organised, ongoing for the last 2 years by the Cultural Consortium, the High Street Heritage Action Zone initiative, and it was good. It was the same sort of format as last year. Langport Mummers and the Cam Valley Morris men in attendance, rousing everybody and making a great event and celebration on the town park with cider or apple juice, apple cake, and the blessing of the trees, and Morris dancing and the Mummers performance. So that was kind of well attended on a sort of very grey and overcast day. But the workshops were very good. We had Studio Meraki, who worked the town events before, doing workshops, which they're very busy and pleased about. And we had Summer Valley Rediscovered and Men's Shed, who were doing their bird and bat boxes, and Eco Wine.
Over the dragonfly.
Yes. And Avon Valley Trust. Was it Avon Valley Trust was there as well? So several organisations which are invested in the area and helping the area. So it was a good event, getting all those people together. So yeah, so I think there's a feeling we'd like to carry on that sort of traditional event, especially with focus on green spaces, rural life, that sort of thing, and the environment in the future. Yeah.
Can I ask you not to have it on the farmers market day?
It's tough on doing both, isn't it?
Yeah, it was difficult. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know quite why the date was chosen, but it's quite late.
It was the same last time.
Yeah,
both on the same day.
But we look at the date.
We can have it a different weekend.
Yeah.
It'd be better.
Or, well, I mean, I've got to go in, but I'd love to find a way to maybe get a bit more cooperation between them, or get some sort of wassail activity in the town centre, because
It seems like we had quite a busy Saturday in Midsomer Norton. The market was really well attended.
Yes.
Charlotte drove by waving.
Drive by.
It's awesome. And then, but I just thought, you know, to try and keep that momentum somehow would be quite nice, as opposed to a few people then being shipped off to the town park, which was all, it was lovely, but it was quite quiet.
We said the same about the park line as well. Yeah, nice way. It'd be nice if we could incorporate somehow.
Yeah. Well, if the Mummers or the Morris guys had done something in the Holly Gardens or something, that would have kept the footfall coming to the high street. So, as much as I love the town park, it does have this problem of being set back a little bit, doesn't it? So.
No apple trees in the hollies then.
No apple trees in the hollies. No, good point. But we can get an apple tree. Ben can get an apple tree. Oh, we might have the island. I don't know if the island will be able to support little events like that in the future.
When the wassail, as it from started 3 years ago, it was held in the town hall. Do you remember? It was packed. The assembly
It was.
And downstairs, and all the little rabbit warren rooms, there was workshops going on there. But we had a really good start to it. So next year.
The march from it there?
Yeah, well, they had to go kind of an odd route from Unit 14 around the end of that high street.
Right.
And up and along through Chadson, near Chadson, which is good. So it takes people along the high street, and that worked quite well. But yeah, we did the same thing, but just from the town hall before, and all gathered outside that. So that would be great next year.
It's different to think about, isn't it? To try and integrate some of these things with footfall on the high street, which is really lovely. Right, you okay?
I've done.
Any other reports? Councillors?
Mine have all been Baines rather than town council. Scrutiny panels, cabinet meetings, mainly to do with the budget. Lots of issues with the budget, which we need to. 800,000 cuts from third-party sectors, and obviously park charges and all sorts of things. So that's taken up most of my time.
Keep at the parking charges on.
What's wrong?
Right, where are we?
11.
Yeah. 11. To note reports from the following committees and to ratify any actions. So first of all, we have Finance and Operations Committee.
I couldn't find the minutes thing. That's some town. Do we have minutes? Some town. Anyway, I've got the agenda. We was public question time. Apologies. We had.
Yeah, the minutes are on the website. Minutes are on.
Right. It was previously anyway, sent out with the agenda thing, but I can't find
Oh, I
it.
see, right, sorry.
No, they weren't on this. I realised how they weren't on this. As I said earlier, we had a nightmare.
But we had two grant funds after the usual business, two grant applications, one with Midsomer Norton Valley Ride. Did we agree to fund that, didn't we? £1,000 for the Valley Ride thing we did. It was a bit more difficult with the farmers market. There was discussion about whether it had been paid, when they were asking for it, things like that. I think that has been ironed out, sorted out subsequently. And then we had a discussion, mainly again from Councillor Mackay, about the SIL monies. And spending, it was gender rights was about spending SIL monies on
That's just one of my ideas.
So we discussed that, and that was about it. After all the budget stuff. Sure.
Sorry?
No, we'd had the budget previously. We'd had lots of meetings about that, but so that's a month where we're weighed down by the heavy.
Planning committee, Sean.
Yeah, nothing exciting to talk about other than we agreed a scheme of delegation.
I was going to say that's
So-
really exciting.
Absolutely.
Working well.
So yeah, streamline the system, avoid unnecessary meetings. Brilliant. So well done, Kate, for sorting that out.
Absolutely, I love it. I love the little forms.
No, Katie told me actually.
Well, congratulations all around, but this is so much easier.
But yeah, you need to meet every 3 months.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm just going to wait until everyone's busy and just click that I would like to hold a meeting just to upset people. I wouldn't do that. Right, item 12 is part report.
Right, yeah, so the first one is, do you remember there was a claim, an insurance claim made down in Willowbrook Walk, an owner's dog got, yeah, so basically that's all been closed down and the claim cannot proceed any further, which is really good news because we're not now opened up to the potential of having more claims put in against us. So you saw the photos last week. Dave sent out about the footbridge that we did the repair in the Silver Street Nature Reserve. So that took up a good chunk of his time, but it's looking good. And similarly, he has picked up the additional work of clearing the river and St Chad's Well as well. So there was previously a team of volunteers that were doing that, but they have retired from volunteering, if you can retire from volunteering. So Dave's taken that up as well, which is taking up quite a bit of his time. And an update on the West Cruise pedestrian entrance. You mentioned at the last meeting, didn't you, about the entranceway being very boggy. And so instead of, I think you were talking about hardcore, but Dave's gone to have a look and suggests that we use like an aerated grid so that the grass can still grow through it, but there's an easier way to access. So we're getting that quoted for at the moment, and it's not going to be particularly expensive. So that would be a good, a successful resolution to that issue at West Close. For the town hall, at the last meeting that we had a couple of weeks ago, we were given an end date of the end of April, moving in the beginning of May, which feels very ambitious, but that's the latest that we've been given, which is exciting if that were to be able to happen.
Well, the 22nd, a big day of town hall meetings.
Yeah. On the 22nd of February, I've invited you all to a briefing with the project manager. So she'll be available. It's a big day of meetings for us anyway, because we've got the site visit, client meetings. So everyone's going to be on site for the whole day, culminating in the brief for you guys if you can attend. What time is it? 3 o'clock? 3 o'clock. What day? 22nd of February.
Thursday.
3 p.m. But if you don't, if you're not able to attend, she will send out the report. I'll send that out to you. So if you've got any questions, then please send them to me, and I'll make sure that they're all, or to the chair. So we'll make sure that they're answered then.
Is it there or Unit 14?
Unit 14. Oh, it's. And then finally, an update on the applications that you gave your approval for me to go ahead with. I've submitted the COF application, so that was just shy of 250,000 for phase 1 Bravo, which is the roof and the photovoltaic towers. So we've split up phase 1 and phase 2 into this phase 1 Bravo, which is just looking at the roof. And then also, in addition to the 250, was the 50,000 revenue as well, so I've applied for both. I'll let you know when I hear something back. And then there was also a rural fund community grant from WECA, and I applied for that as well, so that was 40,000. And that was to do with windows and restoration of the original doors, and what was the other one I put on? Oh yeah, like the stripping back of the radiators. Like basically the project manager was able to sort of compartmentalise mini projects so that when I apply for funding, they're just in that little package there with an explanation of what that is. So I'll let you know again whether or not we get that, and we can move forward. That's it.
Thank you, Katie. Right, item 13 is the correspondence list, which is simply to be noted.
Yeah.
Good. Has everyone noted it?
Yeah.
Correspondence list. Then, I don't really have an item for that, but it's now time to exclude the press and public, I'm afraid.
Okay.
It's terrible.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for coming.
Cheers. See you next time.
Very appreciate it.
You need to resolve to go.
Well, I was about to say normally we'd have an agenda item, and it would be done that way. So that's why I didn't ask for it. It would normally be, item 14. Do you resolve to exclude the public and press?
Yeah, almost that's like just a pre-warn, doesn't it?
A little bit.
At the beginning of the meeting.
But to be fair, poor Wendy just left.
Can I have a comfort?
You said can.
No.
1 minute adjournment.
So we are going into the closed session before the recording will put the whole finish meeting.
Well, it doesn't have to. I'm checking this. You just have to publish it. You're right, to still record it. I think. Right.
I would please suggest turning recording off.
I wouldn't be comfortable with having a recording on to record off down.